a remarkable, life-changing experience.
Thanks to the Civilian Conservation Corps for molding me into the person I am today.
The Civilian Conservation Corps was my stepping stone to success. Don't delay, join the CCC today.
Join us this Sunday from 6:15 p.m. as we pay tribute to these young, ambitious nationals who will give of their time to motivate the current batch of CCC trainees as well as their peers in society. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. And from Health, where we focus on opioids with Dr. Winston Gopal. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives.
This is Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha. Sundays at 6:15 p.m. on the most influential name in radio, I-95.5 FM.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best. Where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 6:15 p.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And broadcast live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Eye on Dependency, right here on 95.5 FM, live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good evening, Natasha.
Good evening, Garth. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago.
And good evening to all of you out there, both locally, regionally, and internationally, who continue to join and support us. We thank you very much. This evening, we have a motivational session for you. Really motivational. And the folks that we are about to speak with this evening, they represent a crew of people that we continue to hope and pray that they continue on the right path and not get caught up in the mayhem that we're seeing today. This is why the Civilian Conservation Corps came into being. And these were people who passed through the CCC, but what more importantly, when you hear their stories of where they came from, sometimes you ask, well, if they can do it, how some others can't? No, we don't want to pigeonhole that to say, well, everybody has a blueprint. However, they came from similar circumstances as, I don't know if they still use that term, socially marginalized youth in the CCC. But
yes, I think at risk is the more popular term these days.
Right. And despite the challenges and the risks that they faced, they made it through, and they're serving now in key positions in our country's protective service and some of the motivational speaking and all of that. So we would suggest you gather your children around the radio. Those of you who would have thinking about joining the CCC, or having your child join the CCC, I think this is an opportune time to hear more about that. Yeah.
Yes, and for those of you who are already part of the CCC family, it's good to have you. I see some of you have logged in on our YouTube channel, so it's good to have you. Please share the word and encourage your fellow trainees to tune in to hear from those who have walked the walk that you're walking currently. And hear what they learned in their journey with CCC and what they learned at CCC is helping them now in their lives as professionals in various fields.
unfortunately, fortunately for them, didn't have COVID then. So
Yes, so it is this current cycle is
yes, it's
a
challenged
challenge.
by that aspect of it. They were more on the ground, have to be virtually, and you have to interact. Most of your interactions are virtually, and unfortunate, but still, you have challenges too, and I think you can overcome that. All right, so this evening we're going to be speaking with Mr. Gerod Augustine, who works national security. You're going to also hear from Ms. Camille Frazer, the Bellot, who as well, she's into motivational speaking right now, and Andel Hoyte, who past trainee who I worked alongside and as a supervisor. Very ambitious young man, I must say, even from back then. He's now a lance corporal in the regiment. And Ms. Marchan, who is a police officer. They really made their mark. They left their mark at CCC. They were prime examples of what can be possible despite the challenges. All right, so we take a break, and when we return, first up with these folks. All right, so let's prepare to welcome them, folks. While some of you still joining, we take this break. We'll be back. Stay right there.
This is reality radio at its best. Eye on Dependency on I-95.5 FM.
Narcotic is referred to or used interchangeably with a psychoactive drug. So in the past, psychoactive drugs were referred to as narcotics, and to some degree they are still used interchangeably. Some authorities reserve the term narcotic for opiate drugs.
Don't miss the next episode of Eye on Health, focusing on opioids. This Sunday from 8:30 p.m. on TV6 and from 8:45 p.m. on the Eye on Dependency YouTube channel.
Thank you for calling the counter-trafficking unit of Trinidad and Tobago. How may I help you?
The Trinidad and Tobago's counter-trafficking unit, also called the CTU, was established through an Act of Parliament, the Trafficking in Persons Act, Chapter 1210, or the TIPS Act. We are a specialized, multidimensional, civilian-led agency under the Ministry of National Security, responsible for the daily operations of the counter-trafficking response of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We implement government policies developed by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons, effective identification of victims and witnesses, prevention of trafficking, protection and prosecution, all through effective partnerships. We also operate a toll-free anonymous hotline, 800-4288 for CTU, where the public can report possible cases of human trafficking. We screen and interview persons to identify possible victims of trafficking. We refer identified victims to appropriate agencies for support and care. Specially trained, positively vetted police officers working in the CTU gather evidence, investigate, and prosecute human trafficking cases. In keeping with our public education mandate, we also deliver training to our many stakeholders and partners. We collaborate with local, regional, and international organizations, NGOs, churches, and faith-based organizations to educate and warn the public on how to recognize human trafficking. We are the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Youth at CAMH in Toronto, Canada, and you're listening to Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha, Trinidad and Tobago.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best. Where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 6:15 p.m. and exclusively on our 95.5 FM.
And broadcast live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Ion Dependency, and you are, whether you're tuned in on I95.5, on Facebook, on YouTube, we are happy to have you. We are, as we wait on our esteemed guests to join us, I think Garth will give us a little insight into some of the young people that we're going to hear from this evening.
Well, it was a real, when we had the briefing, it brought back some memories, and we of course, we have some pictures to show you all from back then when they were at CCC. But it was nice working with them because we never had any problems with them, and I think they were focused enough to know why they were there, and even though Andel had a little mouth on him, and
I think he still does.
Yes, but he was. It's quite clear that he was focused, and we knew him to be really fascinated with electronics, and he was a DJ. He started, back then. As well. Same thing with Sparkle. Sparkle turned out to be functions that CCC would have. And the other two, I left there before they came, but I could vouch for Sparkle and Andel that they were really focused and never had any problems with them at all, and they work easier with them. We go on outreach, and they were always there. They were always on time. We never had any problems with them. So it was, and as I said, they're good examples of what youngsters now should understand about CCC and what is expected of them, and despite their challenges. So so they're here now, and they're all on screen. Gerod, we could hardly see you, but we hope we can hear you. So, Gerod, Sparkle, Andel, and Camille, good evening to you all.
Hello, good evening, good evening.
Right, so
nice.
when you
evening.
Nice, thank you. Mic test for you, Sparkle, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Loud and clear. Mr. Hoyte.
Good evening, are you hearing me?
Yes, we hear you. Andel?
Good evening to all.
Andel, you're still on your range? Andel, you're living on your range?
I just come off.
Wow. All right, folks, so here we have it. We have Andel Hoyte, Sparkle Marchan, Gerod Augustine, and Camille, Frazer, they all past trainees of the Civilian Conservation course. So let's jump right in. Gerod, let's start with you. You decided to go to Civilian Conservation Corps. Tell us about your family, where you grew up. Tell us about that.
And to all the listeners here, and to the CCC trainees, it's a pleasure being here on this program. And I must say thanks to the directors and instructors of CCC for having me here. And I want to share some experience that I had with the Civilian Conservation Corps. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Gerod Augustine, and I'm 34 years of age, and I was born and raised in Maloney Gardens with my parents, my mother and my father. And I have one brother. And I went Maloney Government Primary School in the same area, and from
Gerod,
secondary school.
We started in Louisiana, Gerod.
So I start in Gang 5.
You're starting to
Hello?
break up a bit,
Can me?
Gerod. So let's hope that doesn't continue. Go ahead. So you could start from Maloney. That's up to where we heard.
Okay. Yes. Maloney Gardens, and I have a brother, one brother, and no sisters. And I went Maloney Government Primary School. And from there, I went Mobile Aventure Secondary School, where I was going good at first until when I reached Form 2, 3, and 4, I started drifting off away, getting into a little gang fight, start ducking classes, where one or two teachers we wasn't seeing each other eye to eye, sadly that I didn't graduate, I got into a big fight and got expelled from that school, and in 2006, I started going YTEP, doing electrical installation, and I was doing good. And I got recommended to doing a TNTech program for 3 months. And I called to find out more information about it. And yes, I was qualified to go there for 3 months. But basically, they say after that, I wouldn't be guaranteed to continue after that. So with that, now I got discouraged and I forget about it. And then, at 19 years of age, I leave Maloney Gardens and I came and live in Chaguanas, moved to Chaguanas. And from there, I started doing odd jobs and things. And from there, I see Civilian Conservation Corps as a great opportunity for me. And I started there on 4th of October 2010, and I look forward to PT, I look forward to football, and I always wanted to continue doing excel in my electrical installation there, and join my peers, some was friendly, some wasn't, and two instructors was really inspiring to me, Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Lewis, big up me, even though I was there a little shaky at first, but I was steady and focused still, and until, we start off with the OGT training, and I was doing my training electrical installation at NESC at Point Listas, and we will continue there for good. And then Friday we'll be coming and meeting. Everyone will come meet at Woodford Lodge, and sometime we'll go in the sporting complex to play, sports and have, a good time, and such. Until, me and a pair of mine, we got into this fight with terms of football, and he hold that against me, and then he hold that against me to NESC, because all of us are doing the same training course at NESC, and we got a fight, and I got stabbed there 3 times, and I nearly died,
Wow.
and they had to take me to Hoover Health Center, and the doctor spoke to me while he's stitching me up, and he said, don't go for revenge. Revenge is not the answer. Forgive him, because I really wanted to take that and go back when I wanted to really, do what my mind pleases. But the doctor told me and said, don't do that, forgive him. And I took it to that, and that's the job. And my peers are there for me, the instructors are there for me, they check up on me and make sure that I was all right. And that same peer that me had a dread altercation with, he's incarcerated right now, sorry to say. And after that, from there, I see CCC was making me be steadfast and movable and going forward. And from there, I started being focused, really thanks to the CCC, that make me who I am today, and after, I graduated, on March 25th, 2011, completed, thank God for that. And from there, I enrolled in Ministry of National Security, and And I must say, I've been grateful to that because CCC are really and steadfast unmovable. So I want to encourage those trainees who is there right now, that whatever child, whatever circumstances that is come in front of you, CCC is the place that they could be steadfast and could go forward. From there, it could take it a step, and so it could take it to go reach a higher heights and deeper depths. You understand? Even though you might fall, you could get back up and move forward. There are good instructors there to keep you strong and to help you and to encourage you. And you will meet even our good peers there to help encourage. You understand? To go forward. So
Gerod, you in Central Region, yeah?
Yes,
we have a
Central
huge
Region. I did.
We have a huge cohort from Central on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, so I'm sure they're glad to hear your story.
Oh yes.
Well, Gerod, thank you very much. Hold on a bit so we could cross to Camille now. Camille, good evening to you, and thank you very much. You have a very interesting story yourself, and if you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with past trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps, and they are here this evening to motivate not only those on the ground now, but you out there, the peers in society who still thinking about in a direction, thinking where to go. You're at the crossroads now, and they're here to encourage you to do just that. Head for the Civilian Conservation Corps. You cannot go wrong. Good evening, Camille.
Good evening, Garth. Good evening, Natasha, and to our dear listeners. Good evening, and special good evening to our trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps. Well, I am Camille Frazer de Ballot. I grew up at Cleaver Road, Arima. I went to Malabar Composite Secondary School. And, at present, I'm happily married with 3 sons. I'm the managing director of CJ Frazer Broadcasting Production. I'm a full-time student at the Caribbean Nazarene College, where I'm pursuing a certificate in life coaching skills. And from there, I'm moving up to pursue counseling and psychology. I'm the founder of a youth program by the name of Youth Meet, soon to be a youth institution. But one thing I want to highlight, it wasn't always golden for me. I went to the Civilian Conservation Corps in 2014. That was the first cycle of that particular year. And I was at the North Central region. And it just happened by guess. I really, really wanted to pursue computer literacy. And at the point in time, I couldn't afford it, after being a high school dropout, after a season of, being in fear of my life, being taken away. It was like stepping into something new. So high school dropout, no qualifications under my wing, and what next? So one day I was at the hospital with my sister and 2 amazing young ladies. They were just finished completing their medical, and they said, hey, we have 2 forms here, and be our guests. We believe that these 2 forms should be for you and should be for you. So my sister and I, we procrastinated a bit, and then I told her, say, I'm only going if you're going. And we enrolled. However, on that particular cycle, she couldn't continue. But you know what? When I went in, I was determined to sit and receive everything because I understood failure. I understood what it was, what it meant to fail. I understood how it felt to be a failure. But you know what I said? If this is the open door for me into greatness, let me sit, apply myself, and go for it. And this is just exactly what I did. So coming out of everything, CCC was the doorway to what is within my life at present. So that's just from me for starters.
And remind us again what school you attended? Which school you attended?
I went to Malabar Government Secondary. I was there up till Form 5, but in preparation for CXC, I found out that I was 4 months pregnant. So at that time, I was so ashamed, I dropped out and, I didn't go back. But I went back to evening classes while I was in CCC. So the timing afforded me the opportunity to go and get my subjects one by one, and further myself. And yeah.
Wow. So you I mean, even during CCC, you decided you were so determined that you attended evening classes after CCC.
Yes, the experience there and the motivation there, the persons who were speaking positive, the instructors, they always sought after your best interest. Camille, what you doing? What it's like you didn't have time to lapse. Always on the go. So I said, you know what? I feel it's like a new feeling that came to me, and I said, hey, while I'm here pursuing computer literacy, let me get what I missed out on. So that was the whole motivation in terms of going back to school. Yeah.
Nice. Really inspiring story. And you were at Northeast region, yeah?
North Central.
That's
in
right.
Mexico.
So North Central in the house on Facebook and YouTube. You make yourselves known. Let's go now to Andel Hoyte, Corporal Sir, Lance Corporal Sir.
Yes, let me deal with this youngster. Andel Hoyte.
Yes, sir, how are you?
A young man in whom I'm very, very so well pleased. And I'm sure that a lot of people who would have seen you come to CCC and where you reach today, they're not surprised at where you are today because of your dedication that you showed in the past. We forgot, Natasha, we were supposed to show. Anyway, after the break, we'll come back and show the pictures of them, right?
Yes.
But Andel, tell us about yourself. Where you born, grew up, went to school, and until you got to CCC.
Blessings to all. The name is Andel Hoyte. I live at La Hoqueta, born and raised in La Hoqueta, P7. I went to Arima Centenary Government School, followed by Moncton Junior Sec, and then Trinity College East. I am very young, only 30.
Carry on.
I attended the North Central region, 0602, North Central in the house again.
Mm-hmm.
North Central. One of the best regions, I must say, Camille, one of the best regions. I want to sit here.
I agree.
One of the best regions. I attended CCC because even coming out of school or during school, I was known as the miserable fella, as Mr. Gard Sinclair was saying. Not surprised. I was known as the class clown. They want to get in trouble, fights, and when I was attending Trinity College East, my form teacher, Mr. Renrick, she said to me, Mr. Hoyte, if you don't come out of school with anything, you're going to come out of school strong. And instead of punishing me with licks, she said, give me push-ups to do. She said, there's one place in the world for you to be, and that's in the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. When I left school, I was home a day chilling, and I saw the ad on TV, getting you ready for life. And the ad, I asked her partner about it. He said, boy, don't go in and shopping this boy, that Babylon thing and thing. I said, all right.
Babylon thing.
I called our next partner, was a soldier, and I asked him for the details about it. He said, boy, CCC is a nice place for you to come in on. And let's get a uniform to put on, a jersey. The bosses pick you up certain spots. Let's get free lunch. And like I do a trade, a course. I say, so you telling me, them paying me, them giving me clothes, and them feeding me? I said, nah, I had to come here, boy. I had to come here. After about some months, the cycle had finished and I enrolled into the North Central region. I have no regrets joining North Central. Mr. Berlin and Mr. Rivers was my team commanders. They had a lot of positive impact on my life. I want to say rest in peace to both of them. My experience at CCC was an overwhelming one. It was nothing that I didn't expect it because I love football, I love running, I love being active. So the experience there was really a nice experience to me. However, what changed my life there is what a speech the program director had given us. And she was saying that day, that particular day, that there are people who have talents that didn't know was talents. They have talents. They could actually sit or stand and look at somebody, do something, and do it just as good or even better. And that stood out to me because at that time I was for in a little bad company. I wasn't either here or there. You know, a little miserable handle, willing to try anything, going anywhere, doing anything. And when she said that to me, it really soaking deep into my life. And I went home that day and I did some divine intervention. And I changed all my friends. I changed everything I was doing because it worked in the both negative and positive. If you line with clowns and you have that talent, you could be a bigger clown. And if you line with people who could positively impact your life, obviously you will be directed in a better direction. And for me, that was the biggest part and the changing point of my life in my encounter as a trainee at CCC. That speech that Major Cheryl Richardson ma'am gave to us.
That is even more inspiring to hear, Andel. And so you just stick a pin right there. We're coming back to you. Don't worry. That is wonderful. And we can see he's proudly dressed in his uniform this evening. And again, I want to thank the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment for allowing us to speak with him so that we could continue to. So North Central again, North Central in your house, and then went to North Central. And then he came to headquarters. And tell us how that happened quickly, how you ended up in headquarters. Andel?
Yes, I'm here, sorry.
Yes, you ended up in headquarters working in the public relations department. How did that happen?
Yes. During my cycle, I was always interested in photography, and I was actually doing a course with IBC, so I was doing photography and stuff there. And they volunteered me to do a valedictory speech to ma'am at the end of our cycle. Just as I'm doing now, I'm trying to write down everything I want to say. I write down everything succinctly, and to everybody, I write down everything. I write over my speech about 100 times. And when I finished, when it was time to say the speech, I was so nervous that I hold the paper and I opened my hand, the paper was wet. Nothing I couldn't find. I couldn't see nothing on the paper at all. However, because of my personality and my ability to learn, I was willing to learn stuff. They gave me the opportunity to went to PR department because of my little training I was doing on the outside with IBC. And I went to the public relations and marketing department. At that time, he was on the BTM just before we went to Broad Street. Yes. There I met Mr. Gard Sinclair, Mr. Rennie, Mr. Bennett, and my good friend, Mr. Blackman.
Right. So stick up it right there. And let's go to Miss Marchan or Sparkle. Good evening to you. And thank you very much for I should say, Officer Marchan. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And if you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with past trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps, giving their testimony. And of course, they are rapping to some of their peers who have joined us from the Conservation Corps. And somebody asked a question about being too old, somebody, if they have any program for someone who, but we'll get to that later down in the program, but I don't think there is, but then I'm sure someone could guide us when we ask the question. So, Sparkle Marchan, good evening to you and welcome to Dependency. Thank you very much for making your first appearance on our radio program. And tell us about your journey to the Conservation Corps. Let's start there.
A pleasant evening. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, tell us about where you were born, grew up, went to school.
Thank you for having me. And let me just say a pleasant good evening to all those from the Central region.
Central.
I'm Sparkle Marchan, and I was born at Whiteland, which is located in South Trinidad. Yes, Central region.
Right. Go ahead.
I was born in the community of Whiteland, which is located in South Trinidad. I attended the Mayo RC Primary School. From there, I went on to the Marabella Junior Secondary School and then to Tabakit Composite. I am the 7th of 8 siblings. After completing my studies at Tabakit Composite, my intention in life was to become a medical professional, a dietitian rather. However, my parents were not financially able to facilitate that, so I had to get into working at a young age. My first main job, really, my first experience in the world of work would have been working at the age of 15 picking fruits.
Wow.
Which would have assisted me to go to school and so on. And in addition to that, while at Tabakit Composite, my food and nutrition, I studied food and nutrition because that was a part of my goal in order to be a dietitian. And my teacher there would have organized us to work at Massey, which was then Hilo. And I always like to keep busy. So when I finished school, I decided that I wasn't going to just sit down. I wanted to do something. So I started working at Catwalk. Now I'll share this with you all. While working at Catwalk, well, Catwalk is no more, but while working there, I was living at Whiteland and having to travel to San Fernando every day. So my passage basically was $180 and my salary was $195 per week. So the maths wasn't really working out. So I remember sitting a day and seeing the advertisement for civilian conservation. I try doing something else because I'm not sure if working at that store was making much sense. Maybe I could try something different. And as Andel would have said, they were giving you a stipend, free clothes. I mean, which Trinidadian doesn't be happy when they hear free things, right? So it was a good offer. The offer seemed pretty valid. So I decided to join. At that time, I had no clue where Shogunas was because I was a country girl and I had no clue. And my younger cousin, he was familiar with where Shogunas was. So I asked him to accompany me to go to Central Region to sign up. I remember that day he showed me where to get the maxi and all that. And I went, I signed up and they asked me, well, can you start today? So I said, well, no, I won't be able to start today. I have my cousin with me and he's pretty younger than me and he had to go back home. So I was unable to start immediately. But I was excited because what drew me to joining CCC was two things I wanted to be in life, a dietitian or a radio broadcaster. Because I remember, as I was telling you all at some time past, I remember A.V. St. Hill. I don't know if she's listening to the program, but she was one of my inspirations to get into radio broadcasting because of her vibrance, her vitality, the way in which she made me feel hearing her on the radio. And I wanted to do media. So that's one of the main reasons why I joined the Civilian Conservation Corps. When I got to the Central Region, I was so excited to be in this quasi-paramilitary environment because I had never experienced anything of the sort before entering into that. So I remember the first day I got there and I'm cruising very casually, making my way, and I just hear somebody say, get there, and I was like, what? This is serious? This is serious. So I remember at Central Region, there were so many opportunities to learn new things, and I enjoyed the journey being at Civilian Conservation Corps, and it more or less changed my direction in life. I'm not a dietitian today, but I am living a very fulfilled life in that I am doing something that I love doing, and I'm able to give back and to make a difference and to feel as though I'm making a difference in society.
Right. Nice, very nice. Nice journey. And that's just the start. So let's take a quick break. You guys get a sip of water and so on. And when we return, we're going to go into the other part now at the time at CCC. And what would you recommend? What would you say to the youngsters listening right now? How they can embrace the opportunity and make it work for them as you guys did. All right? So we're going to take a quick break and return, folks. You're listening to Dependency. We'll be back.
You're listening to Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha. Reality radio at its best.
There's small work for you to do. Make a quick 10 G's. We go do for me. 10 G's? Where's that how much do there? What do you mean? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do. That sounds like human trafficking, boy. Why is that serious crime? I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and most of all, the value we
Active drugs were referred to as narcotics, and to some degree, they are still used interchangeably. Some authorities reserve the term narcotic for opiate drugs.
Don't miss the next episode of Eye on Health, focusing and from 8:45 p.m. on the Eye on Dependency YouTube channel.
In mental health in Toronto, Canada, and you're listening to Eye on Dependency with Garth from Trinidad and Tobago.
Radio at its best.
Sundays, 5 FM.
And broadcast live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page.
Folks, thank you for staying with us. You're listening to Dependency. If you're just joining us, we are having a conversation with 4 past trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps, and they have some really remarkable, I'm hoping that it's inspiring you so far to have that child of yours who not in school, hanging around, not doing anything, just listen for the next cycle and sign them up, line them up and sign them up. So let's go back to Gerod. Gerod, before we tell you thanks, what would you say, well, what your time at the Civilian Conservation Corps was inspiring, and what prompted you to head to national security from there? So we start with Gerod again. Gerod Augustine, are you hearing us? Gerod? Gerod look like they nailed him on the wall there, boy.
He's frozen in time.
All right, let's go to Camille in the meantime. Camille, you can tell us what inspired you about CCC, and what would you say to the young people listening right now? And don't encourage them. Go ahead.
They gave a fair chance. They didn't discriminate. They appreciated who I was and, what I had to bring. And, with that amount of fairness that I received, I was, willing to open up to receive what they had to offer. So, daily I would appear and, go by rules. But when we consider preparation for the world of work definitely got some. I applied myself so, I was grateful for the life skills segment, because at that time, being a young parent, the parenting training came in very handy for me. And I was thinking future. So the image at work and the career guidance lectures, those, what I navigated through, I participated in every competition, as I mentioned. So because again, I am, trying to get it. So one day I was selected to be a part of the peer support, and I was also selected broadcasting, and where the emancipation competition, concerned. That opened the door for me in terms of gaining an opportunity, just a short time. I was in the previous administration. He came into CCC and he just wanted to meet all the kings and queens of the different regions. So we went in, okay, we had to meet him and say what we had to say. And however, I was the last person to speak that day. I don't know what I said. I can't. What do you see? I struggled to see what he was seeing. So he kept in contact. And you know what? It opened avenues. I was able to, travel with him and his team because of CCC. And when he called me one day, he said, "Ms. Frazer, I want you to be one of my assistants." And I'm saying to myself, this man have about 2 other assistants. How am I going to fit in? But you know what? Though my time there was short, because at that time, Mr. Griffith, he would have been the Minister of National. Camille, whatever you get here, take it and run with it. And you know what? The things that I learned from CCC, I was able to apply because I had to be neat. Our doors are always open for people like you. So when, my time there came to an end, a bit after digest this, the fact that the opportunity was short-lived. But when I came back again, it was inspire me. By this time, when I came back, I was no longer a trainee. I was now a part of member of staff in the operations department. So when I graduated, numerous trainees I had to compete with in order to stand out. So I stood out, and again when we graduated that particular day, the next Monday I had employment with
what you're doing now. I mean, what you've said about how CCC prepared you for the work environment is really inspiring.
And pursue a certificate in radio and television broadcasting. I really hold a deep. Meanwhile, I remain put, I stay put, and I would host different events at CCC Sports Days, graduation, whatever it was, they would call me. So even when I went